नो स्लाइड है। शुरू में करना होगा।
हाँ स्टार्ट कर दिए, इसको मैं इंट्रोड्यूस करके इसको पेश कर दिए। एक नया स्लाइड का इंसर्ट कीजिए।
ठीक है, यहाँ से एक समरी हो गया, ये हो गया, ठीक है, ये वाला से।
हाँ ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है
ठीक है सर,
ठीक है
चलिए हो तो गया। इसमें लिख देते थे हम तरतीब कर।
अच्छा ध्यान रखें, गलती मेरी ही है।
1 मिनट।
कर गया।
बेटा
हाँ तुम्हारे So good afternoon, everyone. Again, welcome back to the paper of consumer behavior. So far, I'm sure you would have got a fair bit of idea about what exactly consumer behavior is. We spoke about personality, we spoke about attitude, we spoke about interests and opinions, we also spoke about values. Today in unit number 8, we'll talk about the motivation and involvement. Motivation means like why consumers they make a purchase. We understood that there is a need. There is a need because I don't have that thing, so I need to make a purchase. But consumers or customers they tend to buy more than what they require. So is there any kind of motivation? Is there any kind of motive involved into that? So today we'll try to understand that, and we'll also talk about some models, some theory of motivation given by some management think. So this is the objective, what we will be getting once we finish up, and this is the structure. So without any further ado, we will start. Look at this. Your every action, I want you guys to read this thing. Every action of a human being of yours has a motive. I don't know anyone who does something without any motive. So the word motivation comes from the word called motive. Now the intensity of motive can be weak, strong, or medium. But motive means the urge. Motive means the urge to do something. And this doing encourages a consumer to go for the purchase. And a marketeer who is true to his salt and who wants to be successful, they understand the importance of motive and also the motivation. So let's see. First of all, we all know the definition of needs, want, and desire. If not, then again I will reiterate it. Needs something which is very, very important, vital for your existence. Like your food, shelter, clothing, and they are known as biogenic needs. If you see on in type of needs, because if you don't have these clothes, food, and shelter, I'm not sure how you're going to survive in this world. And there's another form of need which is known as psychogenic needs. which you acquire while growing up, while in the process of becoming a member of the society and nation. For example, I would like to buy, let's say, a television, because news are there on television, we have got serials, we have got entertainment, and my neighbor has got this thing. So while in process of becoming the member of the society, the member of my group, the need which I see, which I sought for, is termed as psychogenic need. So needs important for your physical existence. We know about this thing. Now there has been different models and different management thinkers who try to explain different types of needs. Because once you understand different types of needs, if you are a marketeer, you'll be able to understand the motivation. And accordingly, you will place your product or services. Among them, the most important is Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of need. If I'm not mistaken, it was, in 1954, it was, modified and corrected also. Now he talks about five types of needs, starting with the physiological need. If you see this pyramid, the bottom is physiological need. Something to do with your food, hunger, thirst, I just spoke. And once you finish up, once you complete this need, you move to the second level of need. That is called safety need. Fair enough, I have got my food, shelter, but I also need to be protected. Okay? Because if I don't get protected, I might be not existing in this world. So that is known as safety need. Now, once I'm secure and protected, I move to the third level of need, which is known as social needs. That is sense of belongingness and being loved. Now, I'm sure everyone wants to be loved, because that's part of our basic existence. Loved by our parents, by friends, by family. So once I finish up my physiological and safety need, I move to social need. Now, these three things are known as basic needs, which a human being want at any cost. And another two needs, if you are moving towards the top, esteem needs and self-actualization needs, they are known as higher needs. Esteem needs, like, okay, fair enough, now I am being loved, I am protected, I have got my food, shelter, and clothing. Now I want to be recognized by the society. I want some respect, some recognition. So if somebody says he's an IAS officer, he's like the management guru, he's a management in an MNC, he's talking about your status. And they're like, you get your respect, your self-respect boosted. And this you get through your work, through your achievement in life. And finally, the self-actualization, which is like at the top of the pyramid, and very few people are able to accomplish. Self-actualization means, the reason why I came in this world. I think of a gentleman called Warren Buffett from Hathaway, Berkshire, one of the most famous, I would not say consultancy firm, consulting, but a brokering firm, heavily into share markets. Now he has placed 95% of his wealth for philanthropic work, for the good cause. Now there are people like who have achieved all these things, and at the end they realize that this is not the materialistic needs are not the only needs for which I have came in this world, for which I have come in this world. There is one need which is left out, which is known as self-actualization, the reason for which I have been born over here. And this I can do by doing a lot of social work, maybe like adopting a village, maybe teaching some unprivileged section of society. So Maslow's need is this thing, and a marketeer should position or should target the section of society on the basis of these needs. Somebody who is in a manual work, let's say, rickshaw puller. Now, for him, physiological and safety need, or maybe social need, will be perfectly fine. But somebody who is, let's say, from corporate world, now he needs all 5 needs. So this is most discussed need hierarchy given by Abraham Maslow's. There are criticism also of this need, of this hierarchy. Like somebody who has just finished up the physiological need, the first layer, may jump to self-actualization need. Maybe some saint, some spiritual being who doesn't need any kind of, let's say, safety, social or self-esteem need. So there are criticism also, but from the marketeer perspective, this is very important that you should understand the different levels of needs of a market and accordingly position your product or services. I hope this is clear. We'll move. Now we are talking about the motive. Look at this. A motive is an underlying reason for behavior. For whatever you do, there must be a need. There must be a motive to act. I am feeling hungry, I need to go and have food. Now I am feeling hungry, that's a problem recognition because I am hungry. And because of the hunger pangs, I need to move or go in a hotel or in a restaurant or order from Zomato or Swiggy to place an order so that I get the food and I have it. But this is easier said than done, as it is a complex thing because most of the time people are not very much aware about their need. So when I was talking about the biogenic need and physiogenic need, 2 types of need, I forgot to mention that there are latent need also. Latent, latent matlab ye hidden need. Now these needs may not be realized by you, may not be recognized by you. Take an example. I would like to have food. And that's my need. But there might be another latent need, a hidden need to have a healthy food, which I don't realize. But the moment I see somebody advertising that, fair enough, you go and satiate your hunger, you satisfy your hunger, but how about satisfying your hunger with healthy food? So that becomes a latent need, which you are not knowing. But somebody, because he understands, so he brought this thing in the picture and then suddenly you realize, yes, I want to have food, but healthy food. So that becomes a latent need. So it's a bit difficult to understand the motive of people because of the nature of the complex behavior of mind. But still, marketeers try to unearth it, to solve this, and for this they take help of professional analysts or professional people who are into this profession. Moving ahead. Again, I told you the motivation word comes from motive. Is a driving force that pushes somebody, that impels somebody to go for an action. I'll show this thing with a pictorial presentation. Look at this. Look at this. The first thing if you see, it's a model of motivational process. So tomorrow if somebody asks you, define motivation and the model of it. So if you see the first block that says unfulfilled needs, wants and desire. So I have a need because I'm hungry and that creates a tension. And that tension lead to my action, that is a drive. I will get up from my office and I will go to a restaurant, I will place an order. The behavior, the kind of food I want to have. And once I order the food, I got my goal achieved, and that will help in reduction of tension. But this is not the end of the process. Now, once I am done with my food, there will be another things which require my attention. Maybe I would like to have, let's say, a cup of coffee. So that will also heighten my tension. And again, it will force me to act. And if you see between drive and behavior, there are two arrows of previous learning and cognitive processes. Now, previous learning is that experience, what you've already spoken of. The experience, what your mind has stored, and cognitive process means the thinking part. Now, I'm feeling hungry. I have taken out my phone because I'm going to place the order through online service. But what I'm going to eat? Let's say I'm a health conscious man. So I would be ordering something which is healthy for me. So what healthy? Maybe a boiled chicken or maybe a boiled food. So that is through my experience, and experience, the information of my value is retrieved. If you remember, the information retrieval we have spoken in the last class is done through the cognitive process, means the thinking part, and then I finally place the order. So this is the model of motivation process. It starts with the unfulfilled needs and desire and ends with the reduction of tension. I hope this is clear. We'll move. Now there are several principles on, I told you, the motivation theories are based, but the most important we have already spoken of, that is Abraham Maslow, but for the sake of information, there are three: instinct theory of motivation, drive theory, and expectancy theory. We'll move ahead. Now, motivational conflicts, what exactly it is? I would like you to read this thing. Now, motivational conflicts, as the name suggests, it talks about the conflicts of motivation. I might be motivated not only from one source, but various sources, and they might be positive, they might be healthy, they not be, very positive. Now, I would like to understand, or I would like to sort out this conflict so that I should make a purchase. Maybe after watching an advertisement in TV, I got motivated to buy a certain brand. And the next day when I was deciding to buy a certain brand, my friend come and say, oh, this is not good, you should buy this brand. So again, that will change my motivation level. So these type of conflicts, because they are different sources, so these type of conflicts, mix match my motivational level. And this motivational conflict can occur at three places, by three ways. That is approach, avoidance, and avoidance. So if you order to, if you want to buy something and you are motivated with that, you should be very, very careful. The way we should approach, and you should seek out your motivational factor. If the motivation is not very positive, I should be avoiding it. There can be many things which motivates you, but they might have a negative connotation. I would like to do something good in society, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to hurt something. I'm going to hurt some sentiments of other people. Though I'm very much motivated. So I should be approaching with caution. So you should be very, very careful when it comes to motivation is fine, but you should be very, very careful in handling the conflicts. We'll move. Now, consumer involvement we are talking about. Look at this, what it says. Involvement refers to the level of perceived personal importance and or interest evoked by a stimulus or stimuli within a specific situation. How much you are involved in making the purchase. For example, if I have to buy, let's say, a grocery, my home groceries, which I have been buying, I don't know, since ages. Now, do I need to get involved very much? because that is part of my every month affair. But if I have to buy, let's say, a car, a house, then I will be involved fully, because buying car is not an everyday or every month affair, or buying a house. So that depends upon the nature of the purchase or the money involved. So a consumer involvement is important, because if you are making a purchase, you should be very, very careful that what I am purchasing and what degree of involvement it requires. And this involvement has also to do with your motivation level. I want to purchase, let's say, 1 kg of jaggery or sugar. Now, I know it doesn't cost me much, maybe 40, 50 rupees. But my motivation level is fair enough, it's okay, decent enough, but not very high. But if I'm, let's say, purchasing a Mercedes C-Class, there the money is involved, my hard-earned money. So I'll be much more involved, and my motivation level will be shooting through the roofs. Because that will, like, showcase my social status. That has got a lot of money I have to pay for it. So my involvement increases. So we spoke about motivation. We spoke about Abraham Maslow motivational theory. We also spoke about the involvement of consumer. Look at this. Involvement can take many forms: purchase involvement, message response, ego involvement. You all know. For making a purchase involvement, message response. Somebody sending you a message. Like, the companies, they send you, like, the mass messages. Adidas is having a 50% season off sale. Now, how do you react to it? Ego involvement, obviously. The purchase or the things which I'm going to make, which I'm going to do, will that enhance my self-respect or self-confidence? So these are different facets of involvement. Now, in summary, we know this thing, that we understood what is motivation. We also spoke about model of motivation. We talked about Abraham Maslow's need hierarchy. We discussed involvement and different types of involvement. So once a marketer understands this, it becomes easier for him to target the target audience, which makes the selling process easier for him. So by this, we have finished up unit number 8. We'll move further. And now we'll start with block 3. We have finished block 1 and block 2. So block 3 talks about group influences on consumer behavior. And in unit 9, under block 3, we'll talk about reference group and group dynamics, which is very, very important. So let's begin. Look at this. Now, we all know that there are, I will have a sip of water. We all know that you have got your own motivation level, you have got your need and wants, but there are other factors which influence an individual while making a purchase. And here we'll talk about those factors. We'll talk about family, the impact of family, the influence of family on an individual. So without delaying, look at this. I would like you to read this reference group, the definition. Is any person or group that serves as a point of comparison. Very simple. A point of comparison. I am not so successful because I have got somebody who is more successful in terms of job, in terms of social status, because he has got more money, he is well respected in the society. So he becomes, or she becomes, a point of comparison. Somebody if you're a cricketer, somebody will ask you, what do you want to be? Whom do you want to become, or who is your favorite? You say like Virat Kohli. And that Virat Kohli becomes a point of comparison. You want to become like him because you like his, the attitude, the personality, the belief system, the values. So that is become the reference group. So is a person or a group which becomes a point of comparison. Now there are types of reference group. Look at this. Reference group influence consumer behavior in two ways. We all know this thing. You like to copy somebody, you like to be part of that group. So this is how this reference group or the point of comparison influences you. Now here, after this, we'll talk about the different type of reference group. Look at this. Just look at this. Membership. I will explain this term in the next slide. Membership, positive membership. Look at, just have a look at it. And then we'll discuss about this thing, the types of reference group. What it says somebody would be part of, an individual can be a member of reference group such as the family and is said to be a part of membership group. Now I am born, so obviously I would be having a family. Now I am related to the family through blood, so I become a member automatically, and that becomes my membership group. Now, I would like to be a part of my locality cricket club. Now, nobody will, because I'm born in such family, nobody will make me a part of that group. I need to perform. So that becomes an aspirational group. Aspiration means I want to be like that. I want to be a part of that group. Third would be disclaimant group, in which maybe the individual becomes a member but doesn't abide by the values or by the rules and regulation of that group. Look, every group has some rules and regulation. When your family has, your cricket club has rules and regulation. Disclaimant group, like I become a part, or maybe like I am a part, but I don't like abide by. I don't appreciate the kind of values the group demands. I would like to be, to take an example, I would like to be, or I would like to make society a just society. Society with equality. But I don't want to, let's say, take up arms for that. I don't want to go against the law. So that becomes a disclaimant group. Now the dissociative group, I see a group which is not good, which is not healthy. Maybe, a group of smokers. I don't want to be part of that group. Very simple, because I understand that smoking is injurious to health. It can develop. If you are smoking, you might have cancer. So I would like to avoid that group. So that becomes a dissociative group. So we spoke about the membership group, aspirational, disclaimant, dissociative group. Now we'll talk about the primary informal group. Primary informal is where I was born, my friends, my family. My friends, my family, my group, my classmates. Secondary informal groups, why I said informal? Because in family, in groups, there are rules, but those rules are not written. They are not very formalized. Like something, what you see in your offices. Like primary formal group, I have mentioned over there. So there are certain rules and regulations by which you have to abide. You have to come at certain time, leave at certain time. Secondary informal group, where you join somebody like from football team. Now we have a group. Okay, or maybe it's a volunteer. which is working for, let's say, unprivileged children. So that becomes my secondary informal group. We spoke about primary formal group, the office and the business setup, and secondary formal group, like you know, there are groups which you don't meet very often. Office you have to go every day, college you have to go every day. So that becomes a primary formal group. But secondary you meet like let's say once in a month or a fortnight. So that becomes a secondary formal group. So types of reference group you understood. We understood what exactly the reference group, definition of reference group. Now we'll move on the influence of this reference group on products and brands. Obviously. Now there is a saying that I would prefer to go for that brand which I have seen in my home, which my family, which my parents have bought. And this kind of loyalty is being loved by marketers because they don't have to put much effort in that. My aspirational group, I have seen Virat Kohli wearing this kind of, or sporting this kind of beer, or maybe like I'm sporting a tag. I would like to be him. So what I do? I try to copy. I try to wear what he wears. So the marketer must understand, and that's why this sporting icon, they are involved into a lot of advertisements, because marketer understands that there are people who follow these celebrities, and once I get them for my product or my services, chances are high that even the market will try to copy and will buy my product or avail my services. So this is kind of influence the reference group has. I would not like to advertise something to a group which doesn't want to be part of any group. That is dissociative group. Moving ahead. Now there's a term called opinion leaders. Now if I tell you opinion leaders, I am sure if you see among your friends, or if you've got a group of friend circle, there would be somebody who would be having knowledge more than others. So automatically he becomes the leader. If you're facing any problem, you go and try to get some counsel from him. Try to get some advice from him. And these people are known as opinion leaders. Like somebody who is talking about the latest iPhone in the market or latest technology in, let's say, television. Now he has got knowledge, he has got expertise in that. People listen to him, people watch him maybe on YouTube or maybe on his Facebook account. And whatever he says, because he's one of us, but by the virtue of having more knowledge, he becomes an opinion leader. And these opinion leaders, they try to influence the market, try to influence the people. I'm sure you would have seen, people on YouTube, like, gadget freak, or like, I have seen some, or, any name you take. I can think of a guy called Rajiv Makhani, who's into doing all kind of analysis regarding phone and technological gadgets, electronic gadgets. Now we listen to him because he has got experience, he has got first-hand information, and they try to influence. Because if we trust them, if we believe them, obviously we will go and make a purchase. So even opinion leaders, they are important for marketeers. So they try to target the people who are maybe more knowledgeable in that sector, so that they can talk about. Now we can also say in today's parlance, in today's jargon, influencer, social media influencer. Now they do an analysis or they dissect a product or a services, and people watch it. So this is the definition of opinion leader. Look at this. The dynamics of the opinion leadership process. It has got two-step flow of communication. First thing is like from media to opinion leaders, and from there to general public. Because media now understands, he recognizes the opinion leader, they will give the information as well as they also provide product for sampling. And once the opinion leader is convinced by whatever way, he passes the information about the product and the services to the general public. So this opinion leader becomes a bridge between the marketeer and the end consumer. We'll move. Now, we'll talk about social class. What exactly it is, what's its meaning and nature. A consumer social class, the definition, the first line is self-explanatory. His or her standing in society. And now it depends upon my background in terms of my credentials, my education, my income.
Dear learners, in this lesson,
I
we
was
will
giving an
learn
example of
about
an
the
IAS
group.
officer or maybe a judge. Because he's highly educated, he has passed some examination, he has got good source of income. There are people who are related with him. So that will determine your social class, where you are staying, your interest, your belief system. I never heard a judge or seen a judge listening to loud music. They are pretty conserved people because their job requirement is like that. And that's why they are respected in the society. So that is your social class. You are standing in the society. We'll move. Now there are two terms, social class and social stratification. We already understood about the social class. Now we'll talk about social stratification. The word stratification comes from strata. That is a layer. In society, there are different class of people, different strata or layer of people. Again, on the basis of your education, your income. Now, people belonging to certain strata or certain class, they would be having, something very common in their approach, the way they live, the way they study, their educational background. And this strata will become a reference point, and that will define that you are higher in the society or you are lying at the lower level in the society. And we all know the third point says that there are people who are respected in the society because of whatever reason, might be having their loads of money, or they are powerful, they are well educated. And this social class or the layer of the society can be achieved by two ways. First, because you are born in that strata, or second, you have achieved it. Now, there has umpteen example where like the people from very humble background, they have tend to achieve a higher respect, a higher social class in the society. Our first president, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, he had a very humble beginning, but because of his hard work, he went on to become the president of India. Now, the last point is very, very important. Now, if you see, there are certain cultures which are a bit closed. When I say bit closed, it means they are a bit traditional. Now, this status or social class which you inherit, they are very rigid. When I say rigid, I mean unless you are not born in that class, you will not be garnering the self-respect, even though you have got all the status and money in the society. But the society which promotes people to have earned status, now they are known as open system, and that encourages social mobility. I might be born in a lower, let's say, strata of the society, but because of my hard work or because of my vision or acumen or expertise, I have reached a stage. I give an example of Dr. Rajendra Prasad. So the society which are close, they are traditional, and there you can have only status by inheritance. But a society which is open, that promotes social mobility. Mobility means moving from one strata to another strata, and there you can get the yearned status. So we spoke about social status, we spoke about social stratification. Moving on. Now these things, they have got influences. They have got influences. And there are two types of influence. First is normative influence, and second is informational influence. Normative means which are normal in the process. And informational, they're like, people try to get information from people, from other people who are higher in society, who have got a higher social class or a strata of society, about anything, about product or services, and they try to follow it. Maybe a celebrity or somebody like who has got experience in this field. So we tend to listen. Let's say a chef, a celebrity chef, Sanjeev Kapoor, Vikas Khanna. Now they are into this business and they are expert in this field, so we tend to get information. We try to understand what they say about food, about the restaurant. So this is the way how social class or strata influence people. Because obviously, if I ask somebody that what do you want to do in your life, nobody will say, I don't want to move on, I don't want to grow. Everyone wants to grow. Even with the case of social class, social strata. So we tend to follow those people who are higher than us in whatever terms, in terms of power, in terms of money, in terms of education, credentials. And we tend to follow what they say. And these people are targeted by marketeers because they have got that power to influence people. And that's make their job easy. I hope this is clear. Market segmentation, very, very important. Sir. Segmentation means breaking a heterogeneous market into homogeneous small groups on the basis of your product and services. Now, this social class, I told you, if I talk about class of judges, now they have got, peculiar kind of need. They have got, particular kind of values. So this helps me to segment the market. If I talk about the youth of, let's say, 14 to 19, the teenagers, now they have got a different set of need, which marketeer understands. So social class also helps to segment the market, which further make the job of a marketeer easy. Moving ahead, in this, we understood about social class, stratification. We also spoke about the peculiar behavior of certain social class. We spoke about segmentation. We discussed opinion leader. That why these things are important for a marketeer when he or she has to sell the product or the services. I hope this is clear. We are doing block number 3. We'll move to unit number 10, and that is family buying influences and family life cycle and buying roles. In the previous unit, we only spoke about the influence of family, then we shifted to reference group. But here in detail, we'll talk about the family structure, the family influences on an individual. So moving ahead without any wasting time, look at this. Family, first of all, understand the definition. Family is, are people or is a household where people live together and they are related to each other, either by blood or by marriage. When I say by blood ties, obviously I'm born in this family, so I've got my parents, my siblings. And if I'm married, I've got my wife, my kids, so they are part because all of them are staying under one roof, either related with marriage or with blood tie. And this marriage becomes the most important factor as far as the influence of a reference group. You remember the primary membership group where we spoke about the family, the friend? They have got a influence on an individual. There are different kinds of family, nuclear family where, husband, wife and their children, they stay. Joint family where people from different generations, they are staying together. If I talk about extended family, maybe if I'm married to another family, maybe I'm married to a girl who comes from a different family. Now that family also become a part of our family and that becomes a part of extended family because of marriage, the institution of marriage. And the most recent phenomena is a live-in relationship. I'm sure you've heard of this thing, where people, though they are not formally married as per the law, but still they are staying together. And why they are important? Because these two people, they have got immense purchasing power. Because they both are working, maybe they have kids or not, but you cannot ignore them because they are also your consumer. They also make purchases. So family becomes a very, very and a vital influencer on an individual's life. We'll move. Look at this. What it says, the reciprocal nature of family is just not a social group. Social group means like people of this common, values and tastes, they come together in a society. They are consuming unit. And this is important because the bond of a family is much, much more important than your friends. And obviously, they have got more influence and impact on an individual. Now, there are people who are influencer in families. Mostly, if I have to tell them, they are your parents, your father and mother. Another would be your family members, maybe your siblings, maybe your spouse. So we'll see how they influence. Moving ahead, look at this. Now this topic, consumer socialization. Again, that's very important. Consumers, the word socialization means how you interact with other fellow human beings in society. It can be your behavior, your attitude, the way you live, your purchasing style, your belief system. And this is also important. I remember, a storybook called Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling. I'm sure you've heard of this character named Mowgli. Now, Mowgli was a human being, but as he was raised by wolves, he behaved like wolves, walking on his fours and mimicking their voice, their roars. So that's why it's very, very important that you should be able to understand the dynamics, the nuances of society. And this can be done because you'll be having a certain background, your family background, and the people with whom you are staying. But this is important because when you grow up, you also tend to act like your family members, your parents. I'll give an example. Times of India has got an initiative called NIE, Newspaper in Education. What they do, they provide free newspaper or at a discounted price to students starting from class 6th and so on and so forth, 6th onwards. Now, there is a reason why they do so. Even though class 6 students or class 8 students, they are not much into reading news, but at least they would be changing or flipping over the pages. And once they grow up, they would be habituated of going through Times of India or Economic Times. So after 5 years, 10 years down the line, if they start working, obviously they become your automatic customer, consumer, because they have been habituated from their formative years to read the Times of India newspaper. So it's like catching them young and seeing them grow. So this is very, very important, that how consumer behaves in the society. That's called consumer socialization. If somebody asks you, we'll move. Intergenerational influences, very important. Intergenerational means the relationship between 2 generations, 3 generations, or more than that. Now, I was giving an example that I tend to purchase things which I have seen in my home, which was purchased by my parents, because I have got influenced, because I have seen the value of those things. And obviously my parents, who are the biggest influencer on my life, I have seen them purchasing, so I also tend to make that purchase. I will see what my elders are doing or what they have done in terms of their belief system. Now, you must be thinking that why a child is taken to a worship place. It can be mandir, masjid, gurdwara, or church. And how he understand that he has to bow his head in reverence, because he has seen his parents, he has seen his elders who are from a different generation. I would like to purchase a thing which was used or which has been in my home for a long time. Maybe it's like here and there modification. Plus, even intergeneration, the generation people who are higher than me, from a different generation, maybe my grandfather, my father, even they are the influencer on an individual. So we spoke about family, we spoke about consumer socialization, here we spoke about intergenerational influences. We'll move. Look at this. Now, what are the roles when it comes to family buying behavior? We spoke about the consumer buying behavior. We also spoke about the organizational buying behavior. Now, the role of a family in making the purchase. Now, if you see, the process is very much similar. Like problem recognition, very much similar like consumer buying behavior. There is search for information, then you pick out the alternative, then select the best one, and then you make a purchase. But who are the people who play roles in this purchase? First is the initiator. Now let me give you an example of, let's say, a child would like to buy a laptop. Okay, maybe a class 10th student. Now he has to buy the laptop because school has asked him to buy, or his other friends already have the laptop, and that makes his job easy. So who initiated? The child. Who influences? Who is the influence? Maybe the college, maybe the school, or maybe the friend. Decider. And who decides? Obviously the father or the mother who is working. So he becomes the decider, and he also makes the purchase. So he becomes a purchaser also. And finally, who is the user? The child. So these are the 5 roles played by different person, or maybe same person, but more or less, these are the 5 roles being played by family members as far as making a purchase is concerned. We already have spoken about the process of making a purchase, starting with the problem recognition and ending with purchase. So I hope this is clear. We'll move ahead. Now, influence of children. In today's time, it is very, very important. You cannot ignore the influence of children. Children, they have got a lot of influence in terms of buying groceries item, in terms of buying, let's say, your vehicles, or maybe your TV, directly or maybe indirectly. Now, I'm sure you would be having your own experience, but if you want to, let's say, buy a purchase, and your child comes to know about this thing. Now he will like, because he has seen a particular TV in his friend's house, or maybe he has, he has been watching TV and seeing the advertisement. So they will suggest, and obviously you don't want to say no to them unless they don't go for a very ridiculous demand. But yes, they are a part of the influencing factors. Another example could be, maybe you have a child, you are a newly parent, you just become a parent. So you tend to buy those things which will be helpful for your child. Maybe the Johnson and Johnson stuff, maybe some insurance, the child food. So directly, though the child is not talking to you, not being able to speak about his demand because he's too young, the newly born baby, but still directly or indirectly, in an indirect way, he's influencing your behavior. So if you see around, that's why when somebody, a child from your family watching, let's say Shin-chan or Chota Bheem or Doraemon, these marketeers, they put their ad in that because these children, they understand and they want to buy the same kind of thing, or Ben 10, maybe a Beyblade, or a particular type of chips or a chocolate. Okay, so that becomes a very important part of the influencing factor. We'll move. Now look at this, the family life cycle concept. Here we have got 7 stages in family life, starting with the bachelor stage, where you are young and single, where you don't have any liability. You are free to do whatever you want to do. Second is you are newly married, you've got a wife, but no children. Now slowly the responsibilities start creeping in. Now fullness 1, you have got 1 child, young married with children. And second is fullness 2, when you are now growing up and you have got growing children. There also the purchase will be different. Just to make you this thing concept clear, when you are a bachelor, you will buy anything. You will go for a bike ride, you will buy a pair of jeans without thinking. But if you are married, newly married, you tend to buy new house, you tend to buy new cupboards because you've got a wife, you have to start a family. When I talk about fullness 1, again, the child has come and you have to buy the things related with the children. Fullness 2, like now you have got growing children. Now they're going to school, they're going to college, you have to think accordingly. Fullness 3, again you are married, you are growing up, but still your children are dependent on you. They are not into job. So you have to think of their college fees, the tuition fees. And the emptiness is like where the children, they have flown away, they have grown, they have got the job, maybe they are married and they don't stay with you. So again, in that stage, your purchase would be different. That will be more into buying life insurance, more into buying medicines. Okay, will not be buying, because you don't have a children right now, so those things are not to be bought now. And finally, when solitary survivor, either like one of your spouses die, or you are only one left out, you live like you live a retired life, then there your requirement would be different. Again, the medicine will come, your will will come, that after your death, who will inherit your property, you will make nominations, you'll make nominees. So even this family life cycle, the 7 stages what we spoke about, has got marketers' attention, and they try to give or position their product and services accordingly. I hope this is clear. We'll move. Now finally, we have finished up this unit number 10. Here we spoke about the influences of family. We also spoke about the intergenerational influence. We spoke about consumer socialization. We spoke about different stages in family life. We spoke about the 5 roles played by one member or a different member in a family. And all these things They are being watched and monitored by marketeers because they understand that these are the things which influence an individual. As we said, that family is the most important unit. It's not only a social unit, but also a consumption unit. It makes purchase, it uses it, it disposes it. We spoke about different types of family: joint family, extended family, nuclear family, live-in family relationship. So tomorrow, if you want to become a marketeer, and if you are in this business, so it's very important for everyone from a marketeer perspective to understand the psyche and also the factors which influence a consumer, be it a reference group or a family. You should be very, very careful about it. And once you have got the grip, the grasp of these factors, that who is the initiator, who is the gatekeeper, who is the decider, who is the user, then trust me, your job would be very easy. But having said this thing, this is not an easy job, and that's why experts are involved. People who are professional in their approach, they are involved and they help marketeer with the help of their analytical tools and marketing research. With this, we have come to the end of unit 10. Tomorrow we'll start with another unit. Till then, thank you so much for joining in. Namaste.